Hello and welcome to the IPBES Data Management tutorials. Today we will be covering recommendations for workflow establishment and data management within the chapter on data management of active research data. My name is Hanno Sebens and I'm a quantitative ecologist at the Senckenberg Biodiversity and Climate Research Center in Frankfurt, Germany, and a member of the Task Force on Knowledge and Data within IPBES. This tutorial is split into two parts, covering first workflow generation and second, data usage. So let's start with the workflows. A workflow represents the process of making use of data. You may consider having some kind of raw data which you want to transform to obtain a data product such as a figure or a statistic. For example, transforming data into other formats or aggregating data are typical parts of a workflow. Workflows should be fully reproducible and transparent. But this means that the full workflow from raw data processing to the final product should be implemented in an appropriate software environment to document individual steps. In Microsoft Excel, for example, individual steps of data processing or analysis are not reproducible and therefore not transparent. It is therefore highly recommended to use software environments such as R or Python for the implementation of the workflow. It is also highly recommended to use open source software to enable others applying your scripts without the need of buying software licenses. Keep in mind that Microsoft Office products are not open source and not everybody owns the appropriate software licenses. A workflow should be user-friendly by, for instance, organizing your scripts according to the steps of the workflow, writing functions to structure your code, and provide extensive comments within the scripts and ideally an extra manual. Documents of good coding practices are widely available by, for instance, the British Ecological Society, which provide valuable guidelines for reproducible code and data management. You should also ensure a proper versioning of the workflow to make different versions accessible and to structure your own work. This allows regenerating data products even if the workflow has been modified. Finally, it is important to make your workflow publicly available together with your data products so that others are able to repeat your steps and to understand your work. Both versioning and public access can be easily achieved using common platforms such as GitHub or Zenodo. While GitHub allows full version control of your code, release of new versions can be directly linked to Zenodo, which automatically generates a digital object identifier, the DOI. And this ensures that data products get directly linked to the version workflow. I mean, at first, it may seem unattractive to follow these recommendations, as it requires more work for the researcher. But having the full workflow clearly implemented does not only ensure transparency for others, but it also helps yourself to structure and understand the process and to repeat your work at a later stage. Now we are coming to the second part of this tutorial about data usage. Data should be provided in an accessible format, such as a CSV or TXT or any other standard which can be easily opened with open source software. Microsoft Excel and Microsoft Access files are common, but require licensed software which should be avoided. Data should be associated with proper metadata, which provides an overview of the content, extent, coverage, and format of the data, as well as responsibilities and usage rights and the data collection methodology. Data should be versioned to trace back individual changes once data gets updated. Versioning is provided automatically by some online platforms such as Zenodo or GBIF, which are recommended to use. In this way, versioning is particularly easy also for individual researchers with limited capacities for data management. It is important to make data accessible to others, using data more efficiently, advancing science and supporting managers and policymakers. This does not only increase collaboration, but also increases trust in your own work due to the full transparency. And more large initiatives such as IPBES move towards a policy to exclusively rely on data, on open data, which should be an incentive for each researcher to make their data publicly available. When using data, best practices on data citation should be followed, which includes a full citation, and a version number of the dataset. Ideally, this should be associated with a unique digital object identifier in the data paper if available. So thank you for listening. And finally, I would like to thank the other contributors that helped to prepare this content. Feel free to contact us at tsu.data@ipbes.net. We hope you enjoyed this session on recommendations for workflow establishment and data management.